All right, Sarah, I am so excited to have you on the podcast as a inspirational pet photographer, but also one of our friends and clients. So I'm so excited to have you here. I would love to just learn a little bit more about your background and what led you into pet photography because you do a lot. You have like your brand photographer, you do outdoor, you do personal lifestyle, you do a whole bunch of different types of photography. So I'd love to learn how you got into it and how you got started and what evolved to where you are now.
How did I grow up to be a dog photographer? Um,
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, I don't think this was ever a career that I knew existed. Like, no one came to career day and was like, you can grow up to photograph dogs. So, I mean, I grew up working in rescue. I started working in rescue when I was 11. I started working at the vet when I was 14 and kind of training as a vet assistant at like 15. So, and then I'd always messed around with the camera and I've always been an artist. I always like drew and painted when growing up. So I went to college thinking I was going to go to vet school because I grew up with all of these vets. And then I realized I was more of an art brain. So I got a degree in studio art while still working with animals. And then after I graduated, I moved abroad for a while to teach English. And when I came back, I was kind of figuring out my next step. And I knew somebody who knew somebody in marketing in a pet store. And they were like, hey, do you know someone who likes dogs and can use a camera? And I took on this one-time gig photographing dogs for social content. And it kind of grew into a whole career from there. I took over social channels for their national pet store. So I was able to photograph dogs while kind of learning the specifics of like brand photography, dog photography, because I'd only done like travel photography and just photographing what I'd wanted. So I was pretty lucky in that regard. I created the Instagram and was just like looking for dog models through hashtag dogs of LA. So I got to start meeting a lot of different dogs in the LA community and then grew my Instagram. And it's just been kind of a mostly word of mouth journey. I've never done like formal marketing or anything, but I just meet a ton of people through dog events, through brands I work with, through personal sessions, through just like taking my dog out and about since most of my friends are dog moms now. But that's kind of how I got here. It just almost organically happened and then like created the most perfect career for me ever.
Yeah, it's such a cool career. It's
It's the
funny because I
best.
resonate with a lot of it because I actually went to college originally to major in biology and then go to vet school because I feel like that was like the only option. You're like, okay, if you want to work with animals, then you should probably be a veterinarian.
Yeah. Yeah. But I realized I really enjoyed like the part I liked was the nursing part, like being with the animals and the actual like interaction with animals, not doing like physical and organic chemistry and like figuring out the science behind it. So I'm not exactly sure why I ever thought that was going to be the route, but I'm glad it all brought me here in the end.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I think I lasted about 3 weeks in my biology class, and I'm like, actually, I don't think this is for me. And then I went the more marketing design route, so I resonate with that.
I did a year of animal science and I was like, there is no way I can do 3 more years because this was like hard enough. And I hated it too. Like I just didn't love it. And I was like, now or never. Like, do I follow a path I don't love? But yeah,
Right.
all worked out.
Yes. And you've built such a strong reputation in Los Angeles and even beyond, because I know that you also do some travels and all that stuff too. So, what do you think has been the key thing to standing out in such a creative and competitive industry, especially I assume in LA, you have a little bit more competition. Like, you have such a strong reputation. How'd you do that?
I don't know if it was like one thing in particular. I think my style kind of stands out just because it's fun and colorful, and I really strive to capture personality of dogs. There's a lot of amazing pet photographers here. Everybody's really cool. We all kind of know each other, and I think everyone's really purported. And I find everyone to be really different, which helps. But I think a lot of it is just, people want to hire somebody that they know and that they trust and that seems like good with their dog or good with their brand. So, I'm out there a lot meeting people. I feel like there's probably positive word of mouth just because, I have a lot of fun with my clients. I get to know people. I, work really hard for the brands I work with. So I think between like strong visual imagery and just being a good person to work with, it's just grown, I guess, my reputation,
Yeah.
grown my dog community here. Yeah.
Yeah, that's literally what I just wrote down in my notes. It seems like it's the style. So having your own unique style that people can resonate with, and then also the side of building relationships with your people.
Yeah, definitely. And I think
Love it.
like style comes with the more you shoot, like in the beginning, I was looking at a lot of work by other pet photographers. And then just the more I was doing it on my own, the more my own style developed, like I'm really playful. I'm on the ground, like rolling around in the dirt with dogs. I'm always shooting underneath them. Like, so I just there's a certain approach I take that I think translates into my photos.
Yeah, I love that. And in today's episode, we're talking a lot about the power of those sort of visuals and how not just pet photographers, but all types of businesses can use photography and visuals to help build their businesses. So I'd love to get into like, why are high quality photos more than like nice pictures? How do you actually attract the right clients through your visuals or your photos?
I mean, I think high quality photos are really important in building brand trust, like any brand can be doing, like user generated content or kind of like run of the mill photography. But if you make images that like really speak to your brand identity and also capture like really authentic moments or unique imagery for your specific brand, like people will relate more to it, right? Like, especially with the rise of AI and everybody creating like all these boring standard e-com images or brand images, like having an authentic dog photo or human and dog photo um, while showing off your brand is really important.
It's something too, I feel like with everyone's brands, and I'm sure you've seen this too on websites, like the images are repeated. So I can see a photo on a website and I see it on another website and I see it on another website.
Oh yeah.
And the difference, yeah, the difference between also having when we have clients that come to us and they're like, hey, we had a brand photography session and like, here's the photos. I can't even explain to you how much easier it makes the website design process. Like when we work with pet photographers, it makes it so much easier because we automatically have those high quality images versus
Yeah.
those who are like, oh, just, use stock or here's a couple blurry photos that we've taken over the years or whatever. Or like, I know like you've been around for a while. So it's like there used to be like those stock images of like Jack Russell Terriers.
I literally am thinking, like, as you said, stock images, I'm like, I know the exact like 5 unsplash photos that everybody uses, like the Jack Russell in the fall field running forward. And then there's like a Spaniel Golden. There's a few photos I see on everybody's website. And I'm just like,
The dog and the cat cuddling.
yeah. I mean, great photo, but I've been seeing it for like 7 years on everybody's like new website. So it can be an investment, but I also think that like doing that baseline investment in commercial photography is going to help elevate your brand from like all the other, lower quality, like maybe drop shipping brands or brands, that haven't been around as long, or it's just a way to automatically elevate where you're starting.
Absolutely. And a well-known pet industry business coach for the pet care industry, Michelle Klein, she talks a lot, like, she's so big on brand photography too. She's like, that's like one of the biggest things that she invested in. And I'm like, that's so cool. You don't hear that. I
Yeah.
feel like as often people talking about it. So I love that she was saying that. I would love to hear your thoughts. I'm sure that you're not in love with it, but I'd love to know your thoughts more on like the AI imagery and can people use that successfully or like what are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I think most photographers have a big love-hate relationship with it. Like on a Photoshop basis, it's like revolutionized my workflow. There's certain things I'm able to achieve with AI on the images I take that make my workflow quicker or make it easier to do shoots in different places. Like, I can take a photo of a dog safely with a harness on in a public place. And now like AI can help remove that and generate the fur underneath, or I can remove a building or a car. But I'm still like just using it as a tool on this really like authentic, fun image I've created myself. I don't love seeing the fully AI images. I'm really conflicted. I hear a bunch of, bigger companies are using all AI for their photo shoots, like United Colors of Benetton, their new photo shoot was 100% AI. And other brands like Zara and H&M are using it for people and clothing. But I think especially in the pet world, like because we're being flooded with AI, there needs to be, and I am seeing a push back towards authenticity and like slightly more unpolished moments, but like capturing like raw, real stuff with our pets, especially with animals, like our animals are so special and unique and quirky. I think people want to see that in marketing. And so I'm personally seeing a push against AI in the pet world with a lot of the brands I'm working with. But then I do see some people just putting AI photos out there. Like I see Chewy putting some AI photos out on their Facebook ads. And like there will be a huge community of people that are not going to care. Obviously, like some people just don't care. They don't care what their images look like. But I feel like pet parents, especially, are going to be looking for more authenticity, more like behind the scenes, more like real stuff that connects them with the brands, like not an AI Australian Shepherd with like my box of poop bags. Like it's going to sell to some people, but I feel like I do also understand financially, sometimes brands might not be able to afford a full photo shoot. And there are amazing programs that can put your product in with the dog. But I really do think that authentic brand photography with real unique dogs is still going to be really, really important moving forward, especially as we're flooded with so much AI. People will be looking for authentic moments.
Yeah, I feel like everyone on social media is like, is this real? Is this real? Like, you don't even know
It's,
what's real anymore. And it's something
yeah.
I always repeat. I feel like I say this in almost every single podcast episode or every blog, but like trust is so important in the pet care industry. And when
Mm-hmm.
you think about like our listeners are primarily pet service business owners. So it's like if people want to see the pets in the website, to see their pet almost in the process, like, can my dog go on these walks? And I want to see my dog doing these things too. And it's like,
Yeah.
it makes such a big difference versus just like a standalone fake image.
No, totally. And what next year I'm planning to like launch pet care photo packages and whatnot, just because I did work in the vet field for so long and in the, pet care world. So I do want to combine that with my commercial photography and offer branding packages to help vets and dog walkers and doggy daycares show who's their dog going to be hanging out with during the day, like maybe videos of like behind the scenes, like what's actually happening when my dog is like at the vet or in the x-ray room or like in a kennel or on a walk, just to help like make it easier for brands to show their face on social and in marketing.
True. And yeah, when you think about brick and mortar businesses like boarding facilities or veterinary offices, that is something that I feel like a lot of those websites are lacking is, well, what does this place even look like? Like, I know that my dog's boarding, but like, is it a chain link fence or is it the plexiglass like doors? Or yeah,
Exactly.
like you want to know, like, what does the exam room look like in the veterinary office? Does everything look up to date? Or, it's part of the like trust building process, but it's also part of the sales process, it seems.
Yeah. And I want to get to know like the people behind the business. That's something that I even struggle with on my own Instagram. Like I know people want to get to know me, but I don't love being on video. But like when I put something with myself on it, like people engage a whole lot more. So like I want to know a little bit more about the vet tech and the vets and like see photos of them in action. Like, are you guys going to snuggle my dog while she's like nervous getting her blood drawn? I think there's like a huge opportunity to really like pull back the curtain and do more authentic imagery, especially to combat like AI and all of the crap that we're seeing everywhere else. I think people are going to
Yes,
resonate with like more of the storytelling moving forward because I don't think AI really has that ability.
exactly. Yep, I totally agree. What, speaking of, we talk about AI, are there any other mistakes that you often see businesses making with their visuals that maybe turning their ideal clients away?
I think that I am seeing brands these days like using a lot more AI imagery on their websites or on social media. And a lot of times it can be really inconsistent. Just the visual identity is, they're like, oh, puppy and kitten on a couch, and then like dog on a walk. And there's just like no visual cohesion between all of the AI imagery being used. Um, and I think that also is an issue when people are using like random stock images from websites and some user generated content. So I think having a cohesive brand identity is really, really important when you're presenting yourself to people and presenting yourself to be trusted by the community in pet care or anything like that. Yeah, basically just brand consistency is pretty important. And so I think just with AI, you really don't know who the company is that you're being sold by. Like you don't really know
Yeah.
it doesn't like help you learn anything more about the company other than they can create like fake images.
Right. Yeah. I
Yeah.
even think about that too, like in real images, not even just AI, but if you have different walkers or sitters who are taking different pictures and it's a completely different
Yeah.
style, or you're right, if you have stock photos that are not AI generated, but stock photos, then you could have totally different vibes going on. And then that's creating these inconsistencies and these disconnects that really do play a role. That's
Yeah.
so interesting.
And I mean it'll help people know what to expect from your business. So there's also going to be just easier communication. If you have like authentic images of your walkers in the city that you're actually walking in with the type of dogs that you're walking in and the faces that are actually going to be picking your dog up from your house, like I think that leads to greater brand trust, which is super important in these markets because there's a lot of dog walkers and a lot of, pet photographers. And so people want to know who they're going to be working with. So I think that like really good brand imagery is a good opportunity to show that.
For sure. Okay, so when you talk about consistency, I'd love to talk a little bit about your experience since we did do your branding and your website design, and we looked it up right before we hit record. It was
Yeah.
over a little over 2 years ago now. And talking about like that consistency and like the visuals, the branding, and the
Mm.
website and how that plays that role in trust. And I'd love to know, since you've worked with us, Can you share how that process helped strengthen your client experience and attract the right type of clients? Like how did that all work together?
Yeah, I think it was like absolutely invaluable in my business. Like doing a logo and a website and branding had been something I'd put off for a long time because I'm an artist. I know colors, like I can do my own branding, but then I was in business for 4 years and I still hadn't done it because I was so indecisive and didn't really actually know how to. I'm not a web designer or anything. I didn't know how to do it. So like working with your team was super valuable in even just identifying how I wanted to present my business to people. Like, am I like a high end luxury? Am I like a quirky and colorful? Am I like a mix of them both? And then, you guys kind of helped me identify that and like what colors speak to my personality, but also the business I want to portray. So I think just having like an incredibly cohesive and beautiful website and a brand that really fits my personality, like I really felt like you guys nailed me. Like it was much easier for me to even just like communicate with clients because I had a little bit more confidence in my brand as a whole. So it makes it much easier to approach the business world when you feel more confident in your brand. And the website obviously is perfectly laid out, really explains what I do. It's very clear. I have really like great workflows set up now as well. So it was just revolutionary. I mean, like
Oh,
literally
thanks.
just changed everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It was great.
Yeah. Thank you, by the way. That was so nice. I was gonna say too, I feel like especially with pet photographers, you have to find that delicate balance between you don't want your brand to overshadow the work as well.
And
So even considering that, like how do we make, especially since I feel like your photography is so fun and colorful. So like how do we bring in your brand personality with also these different styles, not different styles, but like, you have a
yeah,
lot of different colors and, and
yeah,
boldness into your work. So like making sure that, again, going into like the consistency and making sure that everything looks good and cohesive together, I think it was a really fun project. And I love,
yeah,
especially, I'm also SoCal. So I feel like it was fun to bring in like those like golden references of like the
yeah,
sun, the sunshine. And like, it all just like makes sense though, like with that fun, playful personality, but also SoCal, like LA driven. Like it was
yeah.
so much fun.
It feels like who I am. Here-
Yeah, exactly.
Here's my logo from them.
I love, oh, I love it
Mug
so
from you
much.
guys. Yeah.
Just to pivot a little bit, I've always admired your social media feed and the content that you create. I feel like is so fun and I love seeing all of your shoots and artwork and all of that. Can you walk us through your thought process or like do you have a strategy behind what you post or you just post random things? Like how does that work?
Once upon a time, I was a little bit more strategic about it when I worked in social media. These days, I'm kind of just posting more about the sessions that excite me or things that I've done recently that I'm really proud of because I know or I hope if I find the photos really like moving or fun or quirky or whatever, that people will resonate with that. And I'd try to do a variety, showing the breadth of everything I do. I do some brand work. I do private sessions with bubbles. I do, more emotional senior session. So I do like to spotlight everything. I don't think there's a conscious strategy to it because I do have a variety in my schedule. I'm kind of just looking back through what I've done recently. Uh, Also, like whatever I have behind the scenes footage of, because I don't always take behind the scenes footage. And so for reels, obviously, you need that. So sometimes, the more visually interesting shoots I try to show just so people can see what I'm doing, but there's not like a set strategy. I think just trying to show off some of my favorite stuff and things that
Yeah.
I think people will like. I just want to make people smile with like dogs in bubbles. And I like to share adoptable dogs whenever I can, just because I hope the social networking can help them. And yeah.
I feel like the like authenticity is what really
Hmm.
shines through in your content as well. Like it's not despite being professional photos, that it's not like so overly curated in terms of like the feed. Like it's not so perfect. It feels very like real and genuine and like here's the like awesome stuff I'm doing and I love that.
Awesome. Thank you. That's what I'm kind of a little like nitpicky about, like having the right colors next to each other and whatnot. But I feel like I've said the whole time, like people want to learn about me and who I am. And it doesn't need to be like such an uptight portfolio, with like
Yeah.
marketing copy and whatnot. Like I just write whatever I want sometimes, but it's like my true voice. So I think people react to that.
Yeah. Do you think the content creation side of things for you has led to growth in your business? Like, how does your content or maybe like in the DMs, like, how has that contributed to the growth of your business?
I think content creation does help. Like it does grow slowly over time. I did do a lot of growth over the like in previous years and not as much growth recently just because I'm not putting out as many reels. It's not like as conscious of a strategy, but yeah, just, people sharing content and also like meeting people at events or doing collab posts with other people in the dog community. It's all just like gradually led to growth over time.
Do you try to do collaborative posts whenever you're sharing clients who have businesses too, or how does that work?
I do collab posts kind of whenever people invite me and it's going to fit into my grid if it's a client I've worked with before. And then when I put stuff up, I often invite people as collab with no pressure for them to post it on their feed. But I like that you can, add a bunch of people as collabs and share these posts because it's nice for me to do it with the dog I photographed or, a small business or even a larger business. And I do think it helps with growth. I think reels are probably the main way for you to reach an external audience. Posts and stories, I think, get shown more to the audience I already have. So if I did put more of a strategy into reels, I'd probably see more growth, but I'm not super concerned with having more followers. Like if I had 500 followers, if those 500 people actually walked into the room and wanted to book me, that would be more than a full year's of work. So I do try harder to nurture the relationships I have on there. There's some people who have been commenting for years and eventually reach out to book. So I know that like the relationships and the conversations I'm having on there, are leading to things or at least, helping people get to know me better. So
Yeah. This is a
yeah,
little bit off topic, but I was just
go
thinking
for it.
about that. Do you actually have a good amount of recurring clients? I know obviously with commercial it's a little bit different, but perhaps even just with like private clients, is that something that like, okay, they're always booking once a year? Or do you have a lot of like recurring stuff? Or do
It,
you have any tips for like how you would do that more if that is the case for you?
yeah, I do have some recurring clients that have like I have somebody that I've worked with. I did when they were just a couple with their dog, and then I did two maternity shoots. I did a newborn shoot, and then I just did another shoot with them, and their daughter is 2, and now they have 2 dogs. So obviously the dog was the center of all of that, but just to show you the timeline. And then I do a few others where they come back like every few years, and then my holiday people, I do see like maybe like 15 or 20 of the same people for holiday sessions. Like this year, I just opened it up just to past clients because I do love seeing everybody. Um, but next year, I do plan to add more like outreach to past clients because that's not something that I've been doing a whole lot of. But I would like to invite people back because I also think it's important to photograph your dog at various stages of their life.
Mhm.
So, yeah, some people are like, we just want these portraits now, and I don't think we're going to do it again in the future. Or, I don't hear from them for a while. And then some people are like, I'm going to see you every year. Like, we want to do this in the studio every year. Or some people have also come and done a studio session and then done an outdoor session later, or vice versa, to kind of complement the photos they got before. So it varies.
Well, I feel like when you have different options as well, it allows for more people to want the variety, right? Like a
Mhm.
studio session versus outside or a holiday session versus, any other sort of holiday or whatever, like the different backgrounds and all that kind of stuff can make it so fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, so for pet photographers specifically, what steps can they start to take to turn their photos into I feel like what you've done such a good job of, let me take a step back a little bit. What you've done such a good job of, I feel like, is you really are able to turn your photos, like your portfolio, into client magnets to get people to want to work with you. So I'd love to know if you have any advice for other pet photographers of what they can do to also help make their photos more of those client magnets.
I mean, I think like the most obvious advice is just to continue practicing. The more you're working with dogs and the more you're shooting, the more you're going to like learn or figure out different shots that you realize resonate with clients. The more you practice, the more you're going to capture a lot of those authentic moments between clients and their dogs, or like silly moments with pets. I think just striving to capture like really unique moments or like funnier perspectives or action shots or like really sweet client and dog moments. Um, just the more variety you build into your portfolio, the more you practice, the more you play around with lighting and angles and whatnot. Um, your work will speak for itself. You're going to attract people who are attracted to your work, and practice editing, play around, figure out your style, like push the boundaries of edits as far as you're comfortable with, bring it back, like play around with styles. figure out what works for you, and then eventually you'll be visually consistent and like shoots will be easier. You'll be figuring out what shots are kind of your style and whatnot. And then the more you put out there, the more clients will see, and hopefully it'll resonate with them and they'll reach out.
That's great advice. For our listeners who are not pet photographers, what advice would you give to them, even if they are not hiring a pet photographer, even if they're just using their phone? Do you have any advice for them on how to use their visuals to attract clients?
I think, again, like I said, just capturing authentic, happy behind the scenes moments for pet care professionals could be really important if you're doing your own images, a range of images from far back to close up, just images of you at work. You can do some posed, some candid for pet care businesses that deal with employees coming and going, or if you wanted to keep it a little more anonymous, you can also be just kind of focusing on the pet and adding a human element, like them getting head scratches or from the waist down, them being walked. You don't always have to like, or, photographs from behind or like a dog over the shoulder being loved on. You don't always have to highlight your specific employees. You can still maintain visual consistency throughout your images without the specific people involved. You just want to capture like the personality and the energy of, what it means to come to your grooming facility or what it means to be at your doggy daycare or be on a walk, like a pet being picked up in their front door or like leash being put on or them like looking down at them being scratched or, something like that. Just trying to capture some of the authentic moments that people are going to experience when they're working with your business. And that can be done on an iPhone or a point and shoot camera. Just want to try for good, even light, not harsh shadows, and be good to go.
Yeah, I feel like the action component of it is so important to actually see themselves in the story. And that's something we even
Yeah.
talk about with like testimonials, because I feel like a lot of times with testimonials, it's just like, oh, they were great, we highly recommend. But it's like, no, share more about like if you're a dog trainer and your dog has separation anxiety, what was it like before working with them and then after? And it's almost the same thing with photos. Like the photos can tell a story as well of like, you want to make your website visitors or their social media followers, if they're seeing your content, you want to make them want their dog to be in that photo instead of the dog that's actually in the photo.
Yeah. And you can get great photos with your iPhone. My only recommendation is just burst mode. Just shoot a lot, because with dogs, sometimes they're blinking weird or have one ear up, or if the person's in it, then they're smiling and the dog's blinking. So honestly, like one of my biggest tips is just shoot a ton, and then you'll have more options to pick from and a better chance of having the best photo.
That's really good advice. I think these for children as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's always blurry.
Yeah. Just shoot a ton. Don't be afraid to repeat it a few times. Like people, if you have volunteer dogs in the photos, I'm sure that they understand and they're willing to do it. Just keep it fun. That's also like the baseline of all my photo shoots. Just keep it fun. Make sure the dogs are enjoying it, because if they're not having a good time, that translates, right? So make sure that they're happy. Pay attention to body language, which pet care professionals I'm sure will do, but ears back or whale eyes or like anything timid, tail down, you obviously don't want to include that in your images. So really be cognizant of the material you're putting out there. Like even with dog groomers, like dog bath photos can be really cute, but sometimes they're really nervous. So if you want to do brand photos on your own, find like a goofy doodle or a Labrador or something that's like cool with being in the bath. Just make sure you're, like maybe don't walk a really timid Chihuahua that like has his ears back and whatnot. So
yeah, my dog would not be a good one for that.
Not every dog is perfect for modeling, like even my dog, when she's not panting, she looked really serious and she'll put her ears back. And so she looks nervous, even though she's just chilling. So like people won't know that in photos, right? They only get one chance to see your photo. So just pick the right dogs and the right moments to portray what you're going for.
That's really good advice, actually, because I feel like a lot of times for our clients, when they get brand photography, they'll just bring like their dog, or maybe there's one other dog, or maybe just one favorite client, but actually being strategic of, all right, this dog will be down for anything. I think that's really smart to choose a dog wisely.
Yeah, I have a lot of brands who are like, oh, we have, all of our dogs can do it. And I did that in the past. And sometimes it would be like, first of all, like 6, small dogs, all brown and all kind of nervous. So like, just because you love your dog doesn't mean they're necessarily going to be the best face of the brand or be comfortable in photos, because the dog also has to be comfortable around a camera or an iPhone or whatever. So
Yeah.
diversity in the dogs that you work with. Like if you're a dog walker and you walk big dogs, like maybe you want to show a Great Dane or something like massive in some of your photos. And if you take care of like sick and elderly pets, maybe you show somebody like cuddling an elderly chihuahua, you know,
Yeah, it needs to
like
be actually relevant.
exactly. Yeah. And see themselves in the photos that you're putting out, right?
Exactly. And that's something too that even when I was working more in the doggy daycare slash boarding realm, and we were one of the only facilities in our area that accepted bully breeds. And so even having bully breeds in your photos, having like pitties in the photos and like showing them playing or that sort of thing, like I think being strategic, I didn't even think about this when I thought of like questions to ask you, but like it's so important to think through the dogs to communicate all the things that you need to communicate with clients without having to actually put it into text on your website or there's
Mm-hmm.
different touch points and people can take a lot of information from a photo.
Yeah. Like social media is also a great opportunity to do some of the more unpolished photos. Like aside from the brand photos, if you're a dog walker and you're comfortable working with dogs with muzzles or large dogs, you can also maybe do videos or behind the scenes if your clients allow and put that on social, because that's also a really good opportunity to show the more authentic side of your company, right? Like a nice mix of like the very polished photos, but then social, you can also do the iPhone photos and the quick phone clips and whatnot so that people can understand who you are.
For sure. Okay, if you could give your younger business owner self any advice about
Mm.
visuals or marketing, what would it be?
Man, advice from my younger self, I think would be just like, don't be afraid to get out there and don't be afraid to network with other pet brands and pet people. I was occasionally a little shy and I think I didn't do as much outreach as I could have or, as much networking just because I maybe didn't have confidence in my brand in the earlier days because I didn't have a logo and all of that. But don't be afraid to put yourself out there and shoot your shot. And, once you feel really confident in your images, start reaching out to people and start figuring out like what you offer as a pet photographer. Do you want to work with senior dogs, all dogs, rescue brands, and start reaching out to people that might help you get there? Or, if you have to do some volunteer work to start, sometimes that's a really good pathway to build your portfolio. And then you can start reaching out to brands or companies or promoting your services on social or in Facebook groups or whatever if you're doing private sessions. But if you're just get yourself to a place where you're confident in your work and then like let it be known that you're here to be hired and share your work and be confident and show your personality. And I think people will resonate with it.
Yeah, I feel like that's something you've done really well is I feel like that word of mouth component. Like you can just tell that you have all these connections in the pet industry, like all these businesses that you've worked with, and then they refer you, and then it just becomes a self-running, almost like funnel of clients coming in because they've heard about your work and they've worked with you before and all of that stuff. I think you've created a really good reputation and community in the pet industry.
Yeah, I think it's really valuable. I can also see like other pet photographers in LA who are kind of doing the same and they're developing their community and the brands that they work with. And like some dogs come to me and different dogs go to them because they've carved out their path in like a different doggy event community. So I really think is word of mouth and like networking is really the most important thing, especially in such a saturated world. Like I think it's the same with any job application right now, right? Like somebody just saying, hey, this person, they're pretty cool. I like their work is going to go so much further than like scrolling through Google listings or whatever. So to meet people and like have them remember you as like a really cool person who like got on the ground. Like I think people, it helps for me because like I meet your dog and I'm literally going to like roll on the ground and like be licked by them on the floor of like the Century City Mall. Like I don't care. And people are like, whoa, she loved dogs. And so I think like stuff like that, it becomes memorable and you know, people learn who you are and want to recommend you and work with you and whatnot. So
Yeah. Do you have a uniform that like has your business on it when you go to shoots?
no,
You
I know
should.
it's stupid, but like I feel kind of dumb wearing my name on my own shirt. It feels like a name tag.
Hmm.
So I know when we went into my branding, it was a really big decision for me because my Instagram handle is Dogtographer LA and people refer to me as that, even though I never really wanted that to be a thing. They're like, oh, this is Dogtographer LA. But because I come from an art background, like I brand it as my name because it's just who I am. So I think if I ever make a Dogtographer LA logo for a separate side project, which I'm going to do down the road, I would put that on a sweatshirt. But I just feel kind of silly putting like my name on my own sweater. So I literally just wear tank tops and leggings. My uniform is black leggings and this tank top in different colors, basically. I'm a creature of habit
So
and
what
comfortable.
about like what about the submark if it just said like SD?
I could do that, but it still says my name, right?
Yeah, but it's
So
smaller on the
it's
top.
true. It's true. I'm
And
just
you could put
being,
that on the back. I mean,
I
I
know.
think that especially if that
I
like
should. I should. And I think everyone else
you
should
should.
too. Like I'm not always the example, even though,
You
things are
should.
doing well.
I really think that you should, especially because they do get to see you on the ground like that. That's where I'm like, okay, who is this? Because not
Yeah.
a lot of people are going to actually want to come up and talk to you, but they'd probably reach out either on Instagram or whatever. And you could even have your Instagram handle
So
on the back of the shirt.
I've thought of doing like my Instagram logo because I've had that same profile picture for a long time. So maybe like Sarah DeRemer on the front with like that big boxer on the back with my handle on it because you'd most
Yeah.
likely see my back anyway. So
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it.
I think you should definitely do that.
I know. I'm long overdue. I went on a trip with photography friends and they all have their beautiful branded sweatshirts and they were all giving
Yeah.
me crap about it too. So
Yeah. Yeah. There you
it's
go.
not the logo, it's my
Just
own like weirdness about wearing my name on a shirt. I'm clearly not very good with the self promotion thing. And I'm very grateful I haven't had to do too much like, hey, hire me. Because that can be
yeah.
uncomfortable. And that's like my own self limiting thing, like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
Sarah, hire me. Here's my logo, but I do love my
Yeah.
logo. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, I know that there's ways that we can strategize
yes,
to get
yes.
on the shirt without putting your name actually on it. So
Yeah,
we can figure that out.
absolutely.
Okay. Where can listeners find you, learn more about your work, and also if you wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit more about specifically all of the things that you do?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, dogtographer.la. I'm also on Facebook. Pretty much what I have on Instagram is on there, but if you prefer to be on Facebook. And then I'm trying to get back into TikTok to share a little more of the behind the scenes stuff, but I'm also 36 and TikTok's not easy. So as far as what I offer, I do private sessions and I do brand work. So I do work with everybody from small startups, like somebody just making like harnesses and collars in their bedroom to national companies, food labels. So I do offer a sliding scale for commercial projects. So because I really love working with smaller businesses and helping businesses get started with their imagery. You can reach out on my website, sarahderemer.com. There's also a link on my Instagram. And you can just let me know a little bit more about what you are looking for. I am I am going to be transitioning my private sessions next year to focus more on albums and wall art, just because I feel like I've been offering digitals only for years and we are all drowning in digital photos. And I have a lot of clients that don't even end up downloading or they download and they're like looking on their phone. And I just want my clients to have something physical to hold or look at on the wall of their pets. So I will be updating my website with, my new processes and everything in the new year. But if anyone ever has a senior dog, I will always try to make time for that on my calendar as well.
Awesome. All right. Before I let you go, we end all of our interviews by asking if you could share one mindful practice or tip that you do to help reduce burnout and stress in your life as a business owner.
Yeah, I've definitely struggled with that in the past and burnt myself out, but I guess it's obvious, but just like take time off from your business. The reason I work for myself is so I can have a flexible schedule. And I found myself working every single weekend of a year. And so now I'm more cognizant about blocking time off for myself. If I sit down and I have a lot of work to do and I feel really overwhelmed, sometimes I just go hiking. I live near Griffith Park. And I just take the mental health break and like clear my mind if I need to, and then get back to work later. Basically just, listen to your body and listen to your mind. And if you're feeling stressed, take the time you need, because the longer you're burnt out and the longer you're overworked, the more you're going to resent your business and feel like negatively toward love that you hopefully, or towards work that you hopefully love doing. And that's not great. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I try to go to the gym like 4 or 5 days a week because that's like the one normal thing to my schedule. It's like the same time class every day. Um, because it's also hard sometimes to block out self-care when you work for yourself because your schedule is all over the place. You can postpone things, move things. Your schedule is not the same every day. So just make that a priority, whether it's hiking or the gym or a massage or just like vegging, make that a priority.
I know it's funny. I feel like there's so many conversations about how like when you become an entrepreneur because you want more freedom from your full time and then you end up working like 24/7. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's totally irrelevant.
Yeah. And I struggle because I could edit dog photos until my eyeballs fall out. Like I love it. I'm not going to ever get tired of staring at dogs. So I really like sometimes I'll sit down to watch a movie with my boyfriend and I'll just get up to go to the bathroom and end up back at my computer editing photos. He'll be like, "Hey, we're not working anymore." And I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even think about it. I just like thought about this cute golden retriever I wanted to look at." And yeah, you have to be good about boundaries and stuff too, you
Yeah,
know? Like
that's true. I feel like it's like sometimes it is actually even more so about like your family and all that too. Because that's something I actually loved
yeah.
before I had kids and all that. Is actually love doing like design work while I was like watching TV or watching a movie. I'm like, this is so fun. I get to like do both of these things at the same time. I really actually enjoy it. And I think there's a time and place for that sort of stuff. But at the same time, figuring out what your boundaries are, especially if you are with your
Yeah.
boyfriend or somebody.
Yeah. Even if it's
Yeah.
just one night a week. Cause like honestly, I do work late most nights, but I photo edit so I can be present while also being present for work mostly. But
Yeah.
also figuring out when you're not actually being present for people who, you know, you should be. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. This was really helpful to talk all things visuals and photography
Yes.
and all of that. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on.